Hi. Anne has some forms that might be useful to you, which she's passing out. And there are pens and pencils and things with them, if you need one. You're the only one who picked him up. Very good for you.
Thank you. So we're beginning. Thank you for coming to the social justice team's third forum on classism in 2025. Welcome to our in-person participants and our online virtual participants. This is being live streamed to YouTube, and the slides and audio will be posted to the OUUC website. I do have a little content warning that this congregation is made up of people with a range of socioeconomic experiences, from living in chronic poverty to struggling to meet basic needs to being financially relatively comfortable. And classism sets people up to blame poor and working class people for many problems. And so for our forum today, I'm learning that it's often not nourishing for people who, survivors of exclusion, to be patient listeners for words that unknowingly echo that harm. So please trust your feelings for where your loving attention is needed. All are welcome. This forum is geared toward people with economic class privilege who identify as middle class or upper middle class, because middle class people often have decision-making power in various community institutions. Classist assumptions often go unchecked. So this forum intends to increase awareness of classism. Welcome, just got here. So today's forum uses digital resources from uuclassconversations.org and Dr. Suzanne Zilber's curriculum available online called ClassAware, Class and Classism in Congregational Life, copyrighted 2024 out of Cleveland, Ohio. Slide 2, please. Thank you. So it's a curriculum it's online. It's called ClassAware, Class and Classism, and we'll show you the link for how you can find it. So our chalice lighting words are from Deanna Vandiver. As we light a chalice, a container of air, earth, and fire, this ritual of our faith reminds our subtle and crashing about beings that we're part of a collective, a community of care and connection, courage and questions, scared and sacred together. Welcome. Today we gather with intention and creativity, releasing what we must, shaping what we will, in a space made possible by generations of community care and the courage of connection. So my name is Anne Hundley. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a member of the OUUC social justice team. Thank you for being part of this ongoing work to combat disparity and practice behaviors that engage and welcome all. For myself, I come from an upper middle class experience. So I'm practicing noticing classist assumptions and developing stamina with more cooperative, welcoming ways. For those who like to take notes, the handouts are a way to do that. If you didn't see the handouts on the little stool, they're out there on the basket as we come in with some paper, with some writing utensils. There's one with highlighted on it, and then there's one with no highlighting. So that for online people, the feedback page, well, for everyone, the feedback page is a way to share your ideas with presenters and or the social justice team. And that's the one that's highlighted, the feedback. And the reflection page invites you to note a personal challenge or intention that you hope this forum will support. Also, it invites you to consider what a congregation misses when classist assumptions go unchecked. Slide 3, please.
Hello, I'm Tim Ransom. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm also a member of the social justice team, along with Ann and Hawthorne Campbell, Connie Rule, and Susie Oval. As I have shared before, my upbringing was also upper middle class and elitist. Today we'll hear and talk about some work on classism done in the greater UU community. But before we do, let's consider how we want to have what could be a very difficult conversation about class in our congregation. In situations like these, Unitarian Universalists turn to forming a covenant, an agreement that helps build a foundation of trust among us, sometimes referred to as, quote, the silk that joins us together in a web of connections. Can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. Okay, all right. Here and on this flip chart, which my wife reminds me is an antiquated form of communication, but we're going to use it, as one group's covenant developed to support their learning together to see how it might suit us. Are there things we should add, delete, clarify, or change for our covenant for today? And I'm just going to open the floor to thoughts that you may have of what may be missing. It feels important to be comfortable in the conversations we might have, which can't help but be personal at some level.
Before we do that, could you read the covenant for those online?
Sure. Speak from our own experiences and perspectives. Use I statements. Listen carefully to the experiences and perspectives of others. Be mindful of taking space and making space to give everyone opportunities to speak and listen. Work to notice assumptions. Allow for space after each person has spoken so as to give time to process what has been shared. And finally, wait for the microphone so that online participants can hear, obviously directed to those in the building. So, do you feel that pretty much covers what we want to do? Or are things that occur to you that might be important to add? Okay, well, we can just move on from that, and we'll leave the covenant up here, and assume that we agree to it, but that it'll be there to remind us as we move forward. So for the rest of this forum, we'll consult other UU's work on classism through short videos and a curriculum with opportunities for reflection practices along the way.
Slide 5, please. So this is the definition of classism we've been using. And it is, again, from the class-aware curriculum that Dr. Susan Zilber's out of Cleveland, Ohio. So the systemic assignment of worth or access to power based on social class. Classism is similar to other isms. It comes down to prejudice plus power. A form of discrimination which is the outcome of prejudice being acted out with power resulting in devaluing, restricted opportunities, and violence towards members of another group. At the institutional level, it is the policies and practices set up to benefit more class-privileged people at the expense of others. So classism is an ongoing part of today's world. It causes people to shame, blame, isolate, and deny important aspects of their and others' histories and identities. So our goal for this forum is to develop awareness of classism. We'll look at one classist assumption and practice letting it go.
As we go, we hope that everyone will simply be themselves and speak from personal experience. In previous forums in this series, members of the social justice team and others shared the upbringing and class background that shaped the ideas, thoughts, and feelings that they brought to the conversation. Let's continue to do that. To start, here's a short video in which a UU, Walter Clark, shares some of his background to show how bringing up classism will help him bring his full self to his congregation.
Got it.
I've been a member of my congregation since 2010, and they have been a wonderful, warm, welcoming group of people. Their love has been so strong that it has actually moved me to go into the ministry. I'm going into my third year of seminary, and I'm actually get to be their intern minister. And their love and acceptance of me as I grow into this position has been phenomenal. And I've shared so much with them, but they still don't know really where I came from. They don't know that I grew up in a mobile home park. They don't know that my mother worked minimum wage jobs, 2 or 3 of them, to make ends meet. They don't know how hard we struggled financially. And the reason I don't say anything is because I am scared. Because I am scared of how I will be received. They are such a loving congregation. I should give them the benefit of the doubt. And what this fear of mine tells me is that I need to open this conversation up, because I cannot be the only one who feels this. By engaging in this dialogue, there will be others who I serve, who are in this congregation, who will be able to step forward and say, this is who I am too. And this does not diminish my love, my worth, my being. And I am just as vital to this community. To be able to be brave and to say, yes, this is who I am. And I am here.
And can we go on to the next slide? Thank you. There we go, okay. As Walter Clark suggests, talking about class and classism can be personally difficult and generally hard. Why should we do it? A simple answer is that classist stereotypes provide justification for unjust policies and behaviors. Addressing classist myths can equip UU groups like us to pause and reframe things, and to come closer to addressing equity within our own congregation. In our previous forum, we watched a presentation by Betsy Leondar Wright, a sociologist who has spent decades learning about classism. In the video that follows, shared by Westside UU Church in Fort Worth, Texas, Leondar Wright talks about what a class-inclusive congregation would look like. She begins by noting that, quote, verbal classism and stereotypes are the insults that justify the injury. We've asked Carbon to do a difficult task of picking a piece out of the middle of this one, the video. So
And stereotype
there we go.
are the insults that justify the injury. In UU class conversations workshops at UU churches, we ask participants to come up with the classist and/or racist myths and stereotypes that are used to justify particular harmful policies, and everyone can generate a list. For example, to justify why the feds bailed out the banks and not the homeowners during the financial crash. People say, oh, those dumb borrowers, they all borrowed more than they could afford to, it's their fault. Or to justify why the rules of welfare were changed so that education and training don't count towards the work requirement in Massachusetts and many other states. People would say, you know, those poor women, they're lazy, they have to be forced to get a work ethic. So you see, classist myths are the justifications for policies that widen the wealth gap and widen the income gap. So Class Action's vision is a world without classism, where yes, everyone would be treated with respect, but also everyone's basic needs would be met. This is the same vision as the UU principles, a world that respects the inherent worth and dignity of every person, a world that manifests justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, and bringing about justice in the world. But that's not the world we're living in, and that's not the world that any of us grew up in. Our experience as children was vastly different, depending on our parents' education, the neighborhood we grew up in, the schools we went to. Our class background shaped us. We see the world differently. We handle situations differently depending on our class background. And of course we can grow and change, but our childhood class background will always be where we started from. And each class background gives us distinct strengths and limitations. Speaking for myself, my sheltered upper middle class background limited how much I could understand how this economy works. It took some savvy working class and poor activists to open my eyes. But the classist view is that middle class and wealthy people are the ideal to which everyone should aspire, just one big bundle of assets. And working class and poor people are nothing but a bundle of deficits. Not just that working class and poor people need more money and opportunity, which of course is true, but as if they also need to change as people to become more culturally like middle class people. It's really easy for us to think of these classist views
Thank you. So let's take a moment for a couple of breaths. So the video we just watched, Leondar Wright mentions the classist view is that upper middle class culture is ideal or always better. So next we're going to look at a tool to help loosen the grip of that classist assumption. And it's from Carbon, would you be able to move? Thank you. The curriculum that's Dr. Zilber's class-aware curriculum is hosted currently at the UU of Ames, Iowa, through their website. So we're using materials from there. Next slide, please.
Okay, great. So how can we interrupt classist stereotypes when they come up? Each of us is a unique combination of strengths and limitations. Often we tend to characterize others, particularly those of different classes or cultures than ours, by reference to their limitations. In his book, Bridging the Divide, Working Class Culture in Middle Class Society, Jack Metzger suggests that one approach to developing awareness and language beyond classist stereotypes is to consider what he calls categorical class cultural differences and the strengths and limitations of each. Among other things, such an approach makes it apparent that class norms have different impacts. Let's look at the information presented in this table from his work. The first thing to emphasize is that the comparison between working and middle class presented in the table is simplistic. This traditional dichotomy is how the author has organized some information for himself for instructive purposes. And if we can get rid of the that, well, okay, that's fine. Yeah, good, thank you.
So please consider how this table could help let go of the classist view that middle class culture is always best or ideal. So after we look at it, we'll have time to share reflections on it. So we have his categorization is that professional middle class people with careers doing and becoming. And then more cosmopolitan. Is everyone able to read it from where you're sitting? Are you able to see it? Okay. And then the likely best result. And likely worst result. And then poor and working class people, people with jobs. So being and belonging. More parochial. Likely best result. And likely worst result. So after we hear and share feelings together, the covenant agreements are helpful, or as we hear them, the covenant agreements are helpful. Since talking about identities can bring up strong emotions, I'm going to lead a grounding exercise right now. So if you like, take a few breaths to ground how your body is responding to these words. You might want to put your hand on your heart to respond with compassion to yourself and others. If any of the ideas presented ring true for you or otherwise call you, you can write a word or a phrase on the reflection handout or raise your hand to share with the group. We'll bring a microphone so folks online can hear. So it was just if any of the words speak to you. We wanted to let people just speak.
Here, no, I'll bring this to you.
I'm not a person that usually speaks on these things, but the status concerns. I noticed here at the UU, we always want to know the person's background, their education, what they have accomplished before they can even speak here. And I somehow do that at my house around the dinner table with my son who's 56, and he goes, there she goes. It's like, yeah, it's like I'm trying to make my friends seem better because then I go, you know, what they have or what kind of education. It's usually education or their status in the world or their accomplishments. So, yeah, I guess I'm really guilty. and that's how I feel. Yeah, and I do feel like the UU, it's something we do a lot of.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah.
I guess I'll just try, but like, it was like my reaction to it. Like I was kind of getting like stressed out and stuff like that because it was. It just kind of like resonated with like a lot of what I've been through. I feel like. Oh, sorry. And I just like feel like isms in general and like inequality and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm not good at speaking and stuff like that too, but I just feel like it does, like it is like really important, and I feel like it does cause like so much like suffering and pain and stuff, and makes more obstacles for like people who like are on the short end of that stick in being able to like move up and like get ahead and stuff like that. But yeah, that's all I got for now.
Thank you. Thank you. I was taken in part, well, first of all, I was reminded of this is a pretty academic approach or tool, let's put it that way, but that it contains some really good kernels of thought producing stuff. To me, one of the most interesting were the bottom line, the bottom categories. And putting myself on the people with careers side, as I have been most of my life, looking at the worst result. That's party, you know, as opposed to all the being and belonging that is on the working, for a better term, the working class side, and all the life through the people that you interact with, kind of thing. And I'd rather be over there, if you will.
It's interesting to me because I grew up, we were people with jobs. My dad was a cop and my mom was a homemaker. And I grew up to be a person with a job. I worked at a grocery store for 24 years. So, but the other side is what I was taught more at home. It was important to achieve and future and all the things listed under doing and becoming were what was influenced in my childhood. I just found that interesting.
I often find that I worry way too much about needing permission from some nebulous authority that I can't actually say who is. I often have ambitions in life, like this is what I want to do, this is the career I want to have. And I've sometimes talked to like my mom, for example, about like, do you think I can do this? She goes, yes, I think you can do this. And the back of my head says, you can't do that because you're nobody, like you're just a person. And so I often feel like there's this rumor that like, I mean, there's there's the rumor about like, oh, it's about how much work you do, but then there's also the rumor about, oh, it's about who you know. And so I often worry that I don't know enough people. And that's tricky for me because I was having trouble making friends growing up as someone on the autism spectrum. So I always felt like I didn't know enough people. And ultimately, I feel like maybe I don't have permission to have ambitions because I don't know the people who would be willing to give me permission to have them. But that's pretty much what it looks like from my point of view, I guess. That's the version of it in my life. That's it, I guess.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have to say, when I first joined this congregation years and years ago, I felt lower class than the other people in the congregation. And it brightened my soul so much when I went to the grocery store and saw Karen check me out. It's like, there are people like me in this church who came from, my dad aspired to be a person with a career, and he ended up being a person with a career. My mom aspired to be a person with a career, ended up being a person with a job. So I've always aspired to be one of the folks on the left, and I married someone with a job and got to know the benefits of that side of the community, especially the unavoidable diversity, the stronger loyalties to persons, places, and groups, and wanting to have a secure community with some sort of collective efficacy. I've seen those firsthand, and in the Mennonite community that was right next to where I lived in Oakville, their whole life was for the benefit of the community, not the individual.
The term upward mobile keeps coming through my mind. One that we used to use a lot, I think, but not maybe so much anymore, but that aspiration piece of it. Anybody else? Yes.
I just wanted to try to like speak on that too. About like, I feel like that those type of hierarchies and stuff like that would like cause the people on the bottom of it to get like more negative effects. So then it would be like much more difficult to ever become like upward mobile like that. And then, like I was saying, to add insult to injury, that they would use that to justify and say that's kind of why we have them at the bottom or whatever and stuff like that. And that's instead of like them being helped. I know like one example, personal example, like I was like the youngest of my family, and there's like big age gaps and stuff. And anyways, like I feel like not being encouraged to like speak and stuff like that, like I guess with how the covenant stuff is, and mostly just being like talked down to and stuff like that, and just having to like listen to that, and I guess how I was saying too, like denying your experiences and stuff. I feel like that's one of the reasons like I have difficulty being able to like speak clearly and everything now, and so I feel like that's one example of how those type of like hierarchies can like give those stifling negative effects to people at the bottom and make them struggle to like get to a better place and stuff.
Thanks, you're doing great. Anybody else? Again, it feels to me like we want to pick pieces on either side and say, those are the things I want to be or do.
Could you actually describe to me unintended homogeneity? Because
Well, homogeneity is everybody's the same. Okay, we're all, and in that case, mostly white, yes, yeah, and mostly men, in its time. And the unintended part is we just don't think about it. It happens. You go ahead.
Yeah. For me, something about when I read status concerns, I feel like this big feelings of either, I don't know if it's like grief and rage or something. And I feel like I heard grief and I feel grief, sort of like this, I just feel like betrayed or something like that, kind of like, yeah, but I appreciate having it written there because it's like, oh, you can see it, status concerns, right. And then when I read, yeah, so I guess I feel like, yeah, grief and anger, like big anger, like I want to say rage, just like this is not okay, this is not real. It's real, but this is a problem. And when I read anti-status on the other side, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I think that helps me realize some people may have strength in being anti-status, and solidaristic is like kind of a new experience. It's been a new concept for me, like later in life. So I feel like happy about reading those in contrast.
Any more thoughts? Gesundheit. Why don't take a moment of reflection and then we can move on to the next step. And if you think of something you want to say in that moment, please let us know.
just one more thing. I guess I want to see why it has to end in unachieved potential for people with jobs. How does that actually end up with unachieved potential? The likely worst result. I guess it's not all results though. It's just the unachieved. But I find that, does anybody else find that kind of, that last thing for having a job, unachieved potential. And that's the worst result, but.
So you're pointing out like a critic, yeah, you don't, it feels like you don't like it, right?
Anybody like to respond?
So the unachieved potential is, I would just, they're so busy working to survive that they can't pursue other strengths they may have. And on a personal level, as I was a female in a man's world as a grocery checker, they tried me in management and decided that, anyhow, being a female, and I had ideas, and somebody else, a male, would say the same idea, and his got noticed and mine didn't. So you learn to just keep your mouth shut. Yeah.
Thank you.
I agree that the likely worst result for the people with jobs side feels short-sighted from my perspective, that it's actually much worse. It's a feedback loop that just spirals and spirals towards early death is really what I think is the likely worst result. It's not a criticism of people that are in that class. It's a criticism of our capitalist
System.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you.
One of the things that we have learned a lot about, I think, in doing these forums is the degree to which everything is connected. There are no boundaries to this question, and it gives us a lot to think about. But it also makes it hard to figure out the next steps, which I will want to talk about in just a minute. Okay. Well, let's hear one more time from Walter Clark, as he suggests what a congregation could miss if classist assumptions go unchecked. Sorry. It's all right. Oh, I was supposed to ask for a slide. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Jack.
Looking at the last line, which is unachieved or unrealized potential,
Yeah.
I think that starts in schools.
Hmm.
Teachers, well, at least when I was in school, back in the olden days, that was a term that was used, that he has such great potential and he's not realizing any of it. And later in life, I became management in a supermarket. And part of my job was to evaluate every one of my employees and their position in the company and their position in the store. And that was one of the lines that always bothered me. Mm-hmm. Because if a person was doing a great job, sometimes they got stuck in that job. And I would always recommend that they try to do something, maybe there's something else you should maybe consider. And the people that had that unrealized potential would either withdraw and say, no, I don't want anything to do with that, or they would actually go out and, do something different, or they would ask me if they could have a special job. And I think that what bothered me the most about all of those things were the gross assumptions about both sides. Everything I needed to learn about being in management had dealt with empathy and being sympathetic and learning to appreciate the people that I worked with and appreciate the people that I worked for. But I think that there were a lot of assumptions there that I don't agree with. And anyway, I'm lucky I have a whole group of people here at church that I feel fortunate to be a part of, and a whole group of friends that are related in the motorcycling industry that are also my friends that have completely different perspectives on life. Most of them were loggers and truck drivers, and it's just an interesting
Well, they're going.
conversation. Anyway,
Yeah.
so much for my talk.
That's right. Keep going. Keep going.
I just wanted to say about, on the topic of like the unrealized potential, I feel like lots of the big problems like facing humanity, I feel like lots of it kind of like reflects the like, I guess, the type of society and like social system that we have. And I feel like a lot of the reasons is because like a small group like just holds on to power and stays in power, and like that we're basically not tapping into like different people's potentials basically. Like I know for like one example, I heard that it would say like the best predictor for like a country's economic success would be like their views on women's education. And so like that could be one example of the past where like the society's views on like who's not fit or competent was causing like those negative impacts and stuff like that. And so yeah, I think lots of our big problems kind of reflects like our selection mechanisms, like who we have in power and who gets to take part in decision making and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Right. Great.
And how do you get into power in America is through spending a hell of a lot of money to get elected, which is completely out of people's grasp in the lower class.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Other thoughts? Thank you all very much for your contributions. It's been very, very good. So now let's hear from Walter Clark, who has things to say about the value of responding to classism in our congregation.
Okay. When I was growing up, I lived in a mobile home park. My mother would say, if you dare call it a trailer park, I will get you for that. So we always called it a mobile home park. And I went to a private school because we moved 10 times within the first 10 years of my life, trying to find a place that was safer for us. We could only afford places in the inner city. We eventually moved way out to the suburbs, which was this big, basically empty lot where we could put the mobile home. But she kept me in this little private school, and she worked so hard and extra jobs to make sure that that little bit of tuition, and she had so many exceptions to make sure I could get there, and she worked at the school and did volunteer hours there to make sure that we were part of that community. So I would have this base to always call home. But when we finally established that mobile home base, permanent base, she's still there today, 40 years later. When it came time for the sleepovers that 6th graders and 5th graders have, I was so nervous to bring my friends to my house. I had seen some of the houses my friends had been in, and they had stairs. I never had a house with stairs. They had stairs, and that was wonderful. They had banisters, they had fireplaces, they had rooms just for toys, and it amazed me. But eventually, I got the courage to invite them to my house. And what happened was they were so welcomed. My mother made cookies every single time. She let us stay up. There were always bags of Doritos and Mountain Dew. It was horrible, but it was fun. And I always had my friends want to stay at our house after that first visit. And they never wanted to go to their houses. We are a radically welcoming people. It doesn't matter what our houses look like. What matters is welcoming in those with whatever they have, giving them as much as we can to let them be the people that they are. We need to remember that each house is different. And we need to remember that each person lives in their house in their own ways. But what's important is the heart that dwells there. It's not the size of the house, it's the heart within it.
Great. I want to get to know this guy. So the next slide, please. There we go. Thank you. In our ongoing work on classism, we really hope that you would consider where you'd like to see the social justice team go next with thinking through these issues and questions. Your hopes and experiences could be really valuable to us. So you're welcome to say now if you've got some thoughts as to what you hope to see we do. And you've got the feedback paper, the handout that we gave you to provide it as well, either now or even later if you want to take some time. But we're in the last couple of minutes here. We're interested in any thoughts you might want to express to us as a group about what we might do next. Yeah. That's right. Here we go.
Okay. I just had the thought in my mind about it being like really important to be considering like the ways like our social structure is and our social system is, because I had thought of the idea of like light going through like a prism and like that it's shaping how the like light comes out of it. I feel like our social structure and social system is kind of like the prism
For both.
like the prism for like human beings and stuff, and that shapes all the potential that comes out of us and all our behaviors and like everything that we can be. And so like just like being mindful of that, I feel like is very important.
Great. Thank you.
Oh yeah, and then also it said if there's any suggestions for like other times, I feel like the topic of inequality is a good one. That's in general that's related.
Great. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Well, okay. If you have thoughts, please. We're on Realm, which is the church's communication system, and easy to find that way. But also, Ann and I are around and would love additional feedback if you have it. Thank you. Is it still going? Good. While we extinguish the chalice, may we each carry the warmth of love into the world. And to celebrate the important work we've done together this hour, here's a song showing the joy of difficult journeying together, which we have a little time to listen to. But thanks for coming, and we'll see you all for the next step, whatever it turns out to be.
for your needed input.
Yeah.
You have a little song for people that can stick around for 5 more minutes.
Or you can just go.
I feel the current raging around me. Try to summon up my strength once more. I'm weary on this journey, afraid I will not reach that distant shore. I cry for help, feel like I'm sinking. There is no one near me I can see, but there you are in the water with me. You take my hand and guide me graciously. Will you come with me on this journey? With every breath we take, keep reaching for the dawn. I know alone that I will falter. With a good friend near me, I will carry on. There is a kindness in your smile and a gentleness within your speech. You reassure me, your love surrounds me. I know safety is at last within my reach. Will you come with me on this journey? With every breath we take, keep reaching for the dawn. I know alone that I will falter. With a good friend near me, I will carry on. It's an illusion we carry with us as we wade on through the waters of our lives. We must be strong and hold our own here, but a helping hand will save us by and by. Will you come with me on this journey? With every breath we take, keep reaching for the dawn. I know alone that I will falter. With a good friend near me, I will carry on. Will you come with me on this journey? With every breath we take, keep reaching for the dawn. I know alone that I will falter. With a good friend near me, I will carry on. I know alone that I will falter. With a good friend near me, I will carry on. With a good friend near me, I will carry on.
Thanks, Carbon.
Yeah, so if we can get the feedback one, that would be, we would love it.